Yo, what's shaking, man? It's your boy State of the New York Knicks podcast. Shout outs to everybody on this good evening. Um, sometimes I be forgetting what the day is like on this good Thursday. Good, nice weather in New York. Um, what is this? State of the New York Knicks episode 324. Sheesh, that's a lot of podcast episodes. Today, though, I wanted to do something different. Um, as far as like the Knicks is concerned, right? Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Knicks, but I wanted to talk about merch sales. I wanted to talk about things of content sales, art sales, media sales, business. How do you run it? How do you act? How do you carry yourself on a day-to-day basis? Um, with that said, and it's funny because being in a liquor store, yo, yo, you lower that a little bit. Thank you, See, that's all I needed. But with that said, though, the person that's coming on my show today, and this is like an OG of mine who's actually on Nick's Twitter. I got my guy CP, the artist, in the building today. CP, man, first of all, man, I really do appreciate you for taking time out of your day to actually, talk to me. Uh, you're a person that I look up to, actually, and you gave me a lot of advice over the past couple of years, and a lot of your advice, I felt like sometimes you thought I did not listen, but actually took like some of those like things that you said to me, and I actually like incorporated that into what I do on a day-to-day basis, including like starting my own website, right? And learning how to function in that world. Including, changing my brand and changing the way that I talk to people at certain times, including like, the day-to-day basis of how much stuff that I put out on a week to week basis. So I appreciate you for that. CP, man, how you doing? How's the family? How's your summer been? And what's on your mind currently? And I apologize for the whole, because that wasn't my fault. That's your fault.
No, it's not. You had my number. Let's go. Let's just go with the questions. We're here. All right. I'm doing all right. You know what I'm saying? My summer hasn't been the summer I thought it was going to be. I was hoping it for. I mean, it was more downs and ups. I can't lie to you. You know what I mean? It's part of the business. Family is doing all right. We still recovering from, my grandmother's passing early spring. So, other than that, I'm doing all right, man. But I'm glad to see that you're taking some of my advice, man, and just grow on it.
And with that said, like, where did you start? Me, I'm originally from Harlem, but where did you start? Like your upbringing,
Uh, per, Perth Amboy, New Jersey, at Central Jersey. I had started when a group of my boys got together, and they were like, "Yo, we want to start a business like Mesquite." I don't know if you remember Mesquite. Mesquite.
Yep.
They were out of Trenton, I think it was, or Philly. Anyway, Philly, yeah, because one of my boys that used to work for them lives here out in Atlanta. Shout out to Abu, and we were going to start a T-shirt line, and they were going to put up the money, and I was going to be the artist. So I was like, all right, let's do this. They fell through, but I just kept on going. That's how the start of CP the artist kind of happened.
And with that said, like, what was your like motivational factors when it comes to everything? Because learning how to do art, and that was one of the first things that I wanted to talk about, because art is like one of the main passions that I have. Like, I love seeing colors and bright colors. But where did you get your passion from? Because it got to start somewhere. And
Oh man, it started because I was always a loner kid. I'm still a loner. That's why I don't do relationships well. Because I like to be alone. I like my isolation, and in my isolation, I just was able to focus on art. I was never good in school, and it was an escape to my, reality. And also, through hip hop, right? Like hip hop, when I got to learn about hip hop was in the early 80s, late 70s. It was like, where do you find you in hip hop? Either you were a breakdancer, a rapper, a DJ, B boy, B girl, you know what I'm saying? You dress fly, whatever, or you did graffiti. So that's what I would do, not graffiti in a sense, but what I'm saying, I would do characters and so forth and so on. One of my inspirations, my first artist there's two artists that I was very inspired by. One was JJ from Good Times, and the other one was uh, was it Raheem or from Beat Street? Romeo. Was it Raheem? Oh, whatever. No, it was Romeo. Anyway, um, slips of my mind. But those are the two artists that inspired me just to be an artist or at an early age.
And when it comes to art, I noticed like different kinds of art. Can you explain some of the kinds of art? Because you do a certain kind of art, and you definitely have a picture of Jalen Brunson. Shout outs to Jalen Brunson, the New
Yes,
York
sir.
Knicks franchise point guard. You do a certain kind of art, and when I look at your work on Twitter, actually, sometimes it inspires me to like kind of be different. I wish I had that skill. I don't have that skill. Um, where did that skill come from? Can you explain the kind of art that you do, and can you give some examples of other kind of arts? Because there's
Yeah,
drawing, there's painting, there's
yeah.
can you explain some of those kinds, please?
Well, drawing and painting is the foundation. It's the practice, right? But then what happens is that you find your artistic expression through whether it's expressionism, whether it's hyperrealism, whether it's any of those isms. What I do is storytelling. I'm a conceptual artist. So when I create art, I'm doing a story. You know what I mean? Because there's always a story behind it, and it comes from my soul, and it's a story that I want to put out. Like my your friend right here, my Julius Randle, you know what I'm saying? Julius Randle, let me get the glare out the way. This was basically because, he was, crucified in the media, crucified, everywhere, you know what I mean? So I thought I would tell a story based off that piece. It was inspired by a cover of what's his name? Muhammad Ali on uh, what was it? Inquire magazine, where Muhammad Ali, he was just stuck with all these arrows because he was like a martyr in his day. You know what I mean? So I felt the same way about Julius. So that's when I decided to, create that piece. So I'm a conceptual artist. I make concepts happen, story through artwork, like storytelling.
That's great. Um, so what do you say about like graphic design artists or people that use art from like AI and people that you know
Well,
What's your-
all right, we're gonna go there. All right, we're gonna go there. All right,
yeah.
graphic artists is there's nothing wrong with graphic artists because you're still taking elements that you find and you're making something. Because I'm a graphic artist also. AI, someone else, a computer is doing all the work. There's really no work to it, none at all. Just okay. I need this pretty face, a girl with a Nick jersey on. Enter. That's it. What was that?
He's like press enter. Nah,
Yeah.
the reason why I actually
I pressed enter and the freaking YouTube started play the roommates. I was like, oh snap. It came through my headphones.
the reason why I ask you that is because a lot of people that don't know how to draw and do what you do, they usually use a graphic design or they usually use AI art. So like, do you feel like that's unauthentic, or you feel like,
Not in
it's
graphic design. Like graphic design, like I said, you still have to use elements and create a composition. Composition is basically you're putting the elements to make it make sense. AI, you are doing absolutely nothing but pressing enter. You know what I'm saying? So there's no work into that. Like I used AI today on creating a proposal, right? I didn't write that whole proposal because I had no idea of a legal agreement and what to put into this legal agreement. So I used Chat GPT to make this legal agreement. But I had no background in, being a lawyer or anything like that. And the same thing with AI. They have no background in color correction, no background in, like, what I'm saying, composition, none of that. None of it. It's just hit enter. That's it. I mean, what is that? So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? People gotta make their money somehow.
when did you feel like, okay, I'm getting nice at this. I'm getting to the point where I need to make this a business opportunity for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it was all right. I would say back in 2010, I thought, I was leaving corporate America. I got laid off. I had at least a year of money in the bank. So then I was like, all right, you know what? It's time for me to do this. I was wrong. I ended up being homeless for like 5 years. Then 2020 came. The Joe Buttons Network hit me up. They needed a logo. I developed a relationship with them. Then I got hit up by a movie studio. What was the name of that movie studio? I forgot. It'll come to me. But anyway, they hit me up to do a movie, and they paid me a nice grip for that movie. I did a mural. It was called the movie was called Art Horror Noir. Right? It's called Horror Noir, and the Devil's Brand was the part of the skits. One of not skits, but one of the features on there. Anyway, so they gave me a nice little bag. Things was looking up for me. And then I was like, I had a fiance at the time, and she was like, "Yo, I want you to do this. I want you to, do it." So I was like, "All right, I'll do it." I quit my job and I started doing it full time ever since.
Yo, that's great. And
Great. No, it ain't great because there's a lot of pitfalls to this thing. I ain't gonna sugarcoat anything. Like
what
it is
what what's
hard.
some of the pitfalls?
Yeah.
Because I said to myself, I won't parlay what I'm doing until I see a certain amount where it's like 10K or more what I'm doing, and I'm seeing like, okay, it's progress. Like I'm spending money on this. I want to make sure that I put it, if I put an LLC into what I'm doing, that
Hmm.
it's going to have a lot of profit into it. Um, and I didn't want nobody else to take my idea away, but I wanted to make sure that this was going to work. What do you say to people that want to start their own art business like you have, or get into the
Or
business
anything.
of yeah, or anything of that nature, like getting into an LLC? Because getting an LLC it's not hard, but at the same time, you got to understand what's the ins and outs of it.
Yeah.
Can you explain some of those ins and outs of a LLC? And if you're in art specifically or selling some type of merch, what is your advice to people that do that type of stuff?
So I do not have a LLC, but I'm working on my LLC. I will say that. That is more of a question for Ari. Um, my business is registered. I don't think um I don't think that I'm the best person to ask that question, but I will say that the main thing that anybody want to start a business is have your paperwork in order, have a bank account that's separate from your personal bank account, so that way when you do your taxes, they see all that, and in that business account, and you could write those things off as expenses. You're showing, your profit and loss, all the stuff. Um, and also, like, have at least, uh, I'll say a year. I was going to say 6 months, but a year of money in the bank that's going to take care of everything for you. God forbid the worst happens, you know what I'm saying, where you're not able to do your business, whatever, at least have that money in the bank. And when you have that money in the bank, that collateral and that capital, then you're good.
Yo, that's
Now,
great.
I will say this. I will say
Mhm.
this. Having an LLC is good, i- um, based off of, like, you could pay yourself a salary, right? So let's say you're making $1 million, but your salary is only, you make yourself an employee, and you're giving yourself a check every other week, whatever, and that is good for your taxes. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing you should do.
Yeah, because I was definitely looking into that because I'm like, okay, I'm spending all of this extra money, well, capital or whatever, on what I'm doing. I want to make sure that I get some type of return for it at the end of each year. So when it comes to
And
merch,
and I gotta say this. I gotta say this, right?
mhm,
Having your own business, you do spend a lot of money. Um, I think that you have to try to leverage, in a way, like a partnership, like, uh, you know, someone that probably would give you a nice deal on the fabrics and all the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it could be cheaper for you. Also, if you don't feel like designing and you want to collab with somebody, and somebody that's just looking to collab with you, and it's copacetic, then you use their design. You outsource whatever. Like the proposal I did today was for a company. Um, I love their brand, so I created something that was supposed to be, representative of their brand, to see if they use it. So I'm waiting on their response, and hopefully, they like what I did for them, and they'll come back with, like a proposal, an offer, or so forth and so on the design I did for them. So that it could work like that, where you don't have to spend your own money.
that's great. And then that comes right into my next question because I remember one day you said on Twitter and you said,
So a
"Hey,
lot of things,
yeah, but this one specifically, like, it's
good
stuff
and bad.
that because I like, okay, I understand what you're saying when you said people should stop oversaturating the market, stop putting out everything at one time, stop trying to do everything at once, try to make the people love what you're doing at one point and then wait a little bit and then
Yeah,
get
yeah,
into it again. So can
yeah,
you flush that out for me, please? When you,
yeah. That happened because those people with AI, it was like they knew that they could create something and put it on a T-shirt, right? And it was, I'm gonna be honest, it was Morning Brew. Like, they came out with this and that. It was like Yankee Cap this and da 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 da. And they were using AI, and I was just like, people are gonna call me a hater, but I'm seeing a business move that I don't think is is logical. You have to give people exclusivity, right? Exclusivity, it breeds more people to want your stuff. So if I put out this Jalen Brunson T-shirt, and I say, you know what, this is a limited time only. It gives people the incentive to wanna buy. But now, if I did 7 more of these, what is the incentives to buy? Now you're training your audience that why should I buy this one when another one is gonna be coming? It makes no sense. So now you have a backload of this. This ain't selling. So less is more. And I learned that from there's a company that does my limited edition prints, and they did they, a beautiful prints whatever, and they told me that I'm only limited to 6 prints. I don't know, 6 designs. Because they said based off of research, people do not want a whole lot of options. When they go to your site or your page and they see what they want, they go get it. But if they see all these options, whether they like them or not, they're most likely to walk away. So that's why I said in that post. People probably thought I was hating, whatever, but I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I know business,
Is
but
it
it
because
is
it's
what it is.
repetitive?
It's because the people's psyche, people do not like a lot of options. That's just the human. When we go to the store, right? We don't want a whole lot of options. The human psyche can only deal with a handful of options, or they'll just leave. You see what I'm saying? Exclusivity, it has to be a part of uh, a brand. You know what I mean? So that's what the it's like, for example, if you go to the hat store, right, and there's a Knicks cap and there's like 15 other colorways, right? You're not going to buy all those colorways. You're just going to buy the one that's going to be right for you, the one that's probably going to match with everything, right? People do not want too many options. That's my point.
But what if those other colorways is selling to a demographic that does not have to do with you?
That that could be one thing, but why does items always go on sale? Items go on sale because of competition. Because that item that people um oversaw, that's going to go on sale, and then you lose as a client. I'm sorry, you lose as a business owner. You're in this business to win. You're supposed to give exclusivity, not everything at mass quantity. Like if I put out a Jalen Brunson, a freaking um who's on Deuce McBride, right? If I put out a freaking uh the the guy at the end of the bench T-shirt, you can't tell me that people are going to buy the guy at the end of the bench T-shirt on it. I mean, look, I did a Dante shirt, not even one sold. You know what I mean? Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart were like, uh, two of my big sellers, and my Patrick Ewing. But less is always more when it comes to putting up uh, items for people.
I For me, I just felt like variety, even if it's more, matters, because I feel like just putting out the same stuff is really repetitive. And when I say the same stuff, I'm talking about the same kind of graphic designs, the same kind of like art drawing, the same kind of like everything. Um,
Well,
when
let me
you,
ask you something. Let me ask you something, right?
mhm,
You ever wore Air Force Ones?
yeah,
Okay, and they're the same sneaker, but most people will wear the white, right? That's the hottest seller, right?
yep, white on white
Okay,
Air Force Ones.
okay. The Big Mac. They didn't create another Big Mac. They just made one Big Mac. And it's been around for 40 years, maybe 50 years, I think the Big Mac, right?
Yeah,
So you can't say that. But all you could do is maybe like improve on the design. And here's the thing, right? And this happens to me, and it's not a perfect science. When you are creating this, when you when you're creating designs for the public, you're gonna either win or you're gonna lose. It's either or, right? It just happens. Sometimes I'll put a painting out there and I'm stuck with it, like all the stuff you see here, right? I'm stuck with it. But then sometimes there's a painting that everybody's just gonna be bidding on because it's hot, and that's just the way of life. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way of creating things. You know what I'm saying? So that it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
Yo, salute to the chat. BDP, I appreciate you, bro. Got my guy
Paulie,
Omar in the building. Appreciate you, Omar. KU, yo, appreciate you, Brody. Um,
Omar.
yeah, oh man, O was a huge Nick fan. He went to the Fanatics Fest. I wish I could have went
Yeah, yeah.
there.
That's how I met him in the space. That's the
Cool.
first time I met him in the space. Yeah.
Yo, Nick fans is one of a kind. Like Nick fans is from everywhere in the world. To be honest.
Yeah. Facts, man.
Shouts to
Facts.
Coach Malcolm Pika. I think it's Malcolm Pika.
Close enough.
Shouts to you, Coach. To continue on with this conversation, what advice do you have for somebody who is coming to Nick's Twitter, or not even just Nick's Twitter, but just in general, in life in general, who's trying to get into the merch game and trying to be somebody of their own, stature? Because me, I've been doing this. I think the merch stuff. I've been doing this since COVID. I think COVID really changed the way a lot of people think, especially a person like me. I'm not used to dealing with that many like bodies being rolled past me on a day-to-day basis. But
I'm sorry.
you
I, I
know,
I didn't know you were. I forgot that you were in the medical field, and you was
yeah,
talking
so
about
it's
that.
like,
That's why I chuckled. I was like, hey, he's talking about
yeah,
that.
I
My bad.
mean, you
When you
gotta
said
laugh
when
when you
you
put
talked about merch, no, you
it.
talked about merch. So I was like, oh, bodies, like, oh, people are coming to go, pick up merch, and then and I was like, oh no, he's talking about
Oh
Lil
no,
Death.
no, yo, people. You're right though. People do come and go.
Yeah,
You start to
yeah.
learn that as you get older. To be honest, I think
No,
that's
when you said bodies, I thought, oh, at first I was like, oh, he's talking about customers, clients.
yo. I need to. I gotta ask you a question before we get into that next subject. Uh, how do you deal with like death and things of that nature? Like I know I'm going off the rails, but like
It's all
it's
good.
it's like a
I've
question
let
that was on my mind just to ask you to get your thoughts on it. Like how do you deal with
um,
grief and things of that nature?
my grandmother's death was really hard on me, really hard because it was such a slow, painful 2 years of just watching her. Um, I I think time. It sounds cliche. Time always heals, wounds, and I'm happy that we had the memories that we had, and I'm happy of who she meant to me and thousands of people. And her funeral kind of put closure on that for me, in a sense. Um, Death is a part of life. Something I deal with my own mortality. Like I think about a lot. How am I going to go? But also think about like, what am I going to leave? Like my whole goal in life is to leave empty. So I do everything I can. I create what I can. You know, I um, I try to spend more of the vital time that I have trying to make life worth something. That's why it's like, I'm very sensitive to people with mental illness, you know what I'm saying? Like I go talk to people with mental illness or going through like a breakup, a struggle, whatever. And a lot of that is on Nick's Twitter. A lot of people are suffering through suffering in silence, I would say, through a lot of mental issues. You know what I'm saying? I talked a lot of people out of suicide. I've talked to a lot of people out of anxiety and depression, while even dealing with my own. And so when it comes to death, man, it's hard. You know, I cry it out. You know what I mean? When I can. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's healthy. So yeah, hopefully I answered that question the best I can, because that's a real complicated question.
How do you feel about when I say to you, when I write a Substack article, when I record, or when I, you know, write something on Reddit, or when I'm like live streaming on Twitch or something, when I say to you, that's my therapy. That's what I use to escape from stuff that I've gone through. Because, my father passed away this year, and I still think about it through to this day. And the one thing that allows me to like get through it is I'm always working on something. Um, Even with the lady I talk to, she encourages me to like keep working, like do something else. You know what I'm saying? What like is that a good way of relieving that type of stress? Is you know
It depends.
especially for men, because we die quick. God forbid, RP, knock on wood, that men, we go through a lot of stress. We're counting on to take care of the family. We're counted on by family members. Especially,
Mhm.
don't let you be a family member who's making some type of money, and you got a little sister or a little brother, or you got uncles that's not living right. You got to probably take care of them. Your mother, your father, you probably got to give. What do you say to those people that got hobbies, especially men and women, who need to find hobbies or find something you do that you love on a day-to-day basis to try to relieve the stress that you go through every day?
That's a loaded question, but I'm going to answer it as best as I can. Number one, I do believe you have to feel it to heal it, because it's going to come out. I remember when my uncle passed, and my uncle was like a big brother to me. Um, and I didn't grieve the way I was supposed to grieve. And everybody, like Jamaicans, they go crazy when they grieve. Like they passing out and all this other stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, men ain't supposed to, like, whatever. After years and years and years, it was 10 years after his death. I remember I saw something on TV. It was Jon Snow, when his uncle Benjen saved him from the White Walkers, season 7. I'm busting out, bawling, bawling, because I thought about my uncle, because he would have saved me. He definitely would have saved me. But to your point, I believe you gotta feel it to heal it, because you gotta give it out. And that's one thing I gotta give to women. Women, they they know the value of like being together and crying it out, whatever. So it's like, if you think about your father and you gotta be alone and just let it out, talk to him, then you do it. You know what I'm saying? Uh Damn, why a state gotta get me emotional? Because like it's like, uh my grandmother left me, some money, and my mom told me about it, and I was like, golly, man, when I'm down, she's still looking over me. And that, woof, like, it just brings back. And her birthday, dang, state, why you had to get me like emo up in
My
here? I'm supposed
fault,
to be
man.
tough. But anyway,
My
her,
fault, man.
like, no, but like her birthday, my grandmother's birthday is gonna be in like 3 weeks. And it's like, dang. First time I'm in my life, I'm not gonna be able to, say happy birthday. So that's another thing, you know what I'm saying? The time, the birthdays, the holidays, all that other stuff, it's a process. But I gotta feel it to heal it. I gotta go through it. It's a storm. You gotta go through it.
Yo, it's been times where I've been on like Twitter Spaces. I've been screaming at people. I'm cursing somebody out.
I
I'm
was
like,
worried about you. I was worried about you, man.
why?
Like
Uh huh.
because I was like I was while you were grieving, I I was preparing for my grandmother's passing, and I was praying for you, bro, because I was like I wanted you to go through your grief, but just not on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Because I know Twitter could be this emotional cesspool, you know what I'm saying, where people will get at you, whatever, and they don't care what you're going through. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was praying for you during that time.
Uh, it was tough. I'm learning on a day to day basis. What I try to do, like I do weird stuff. To be honest with you, like I go in the house and I turn on jazz music. Now I just listen to some jazz music. Uh,
Yeah.
it, I forgot what this guy name is. Nickinator. He played an instrumental of this guy
Oh,
today. I can't think of the name. You probably know the name. Why is that?
Nick and Nader got a good Serato, man. Him and Rick from thing like they got some tunes that I had never heard of, but they be putting me in a good freaking mental space, man. I ain't gonna lie. Salute to them.
I can't. I don't know
I
why I
can,
can't think of the name.
it's probably a hard name like Felonious Monk or something like that, or Coltrane or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Shout
Yeah,
out to Felonious Monk. But
yeah. Shout out to
yeah,
Felonious Monk, man. Shout out to the chat, man. You got Coach Malpika. Appreciate you, Coach. Salute everyone in the Knicks community. My brother Stay, appreciate you. D Block, man. You always pulling up. Dom, appreciate you, OG Dom. Appreciate that, man, for you pulling up. After a death, especially with family, I've learned to understand that it's okay to not be okay. Yo, to be honest with you, it took me about 2-3 months to learn that. Like
mm.
to just wake up and be like, yo, I don't feel well today. Like I'm not good today. It took me
Yeah,
like two
that's
months.
that's vulnerability. That's being honest, man. Like, and I think like when I black out on, you know what I mean, somebody, like whatever, it's because like I didn't tell myself that day, that hour before, like, yo, you are not okay. Go chill somewhere. Go read a book. Like, go watch a movie. You know what I'm saying? Drink some coffee. Take a walk. You know what I mean? And it's okay to get away from the world, and take your time away. You know what I'm saying? It's therapeutic.
Yo, the one thing I came across, and this is definitely a great conversation. Shouts to BDP. Great space, great advice, great conversation. I wanted to bring a different vibe when I wanted to have this conversation with CP because I wanted to really talk about like mental health and things of that nature because I feel like it's really important. I feel like a lot of us go through certain things behind closed doors that we usually don't tell social media that needs to be said. Especially with two black men who's on here and you see, us black men, we die really fast because of stress and certain things. Like I remember,
It's a killer.
and it's a huge killer. And RP to my pops. He passed away
Yeah.
due to heart failure and
Mm,
congestive heart failure. It's
mm,
trying to take care of yourself, eating the right foods, going
mm,
to the gym, thinking
mm.
good thoughts,
Right.
being mindful of the people that you're around. Can
Mm.
you talk to me about having a good circle of good people around you, a good infrastructure around you that can help you and mold you to where you want to be? Because some of the times where I talk to you more than some of my own friends,
Mm.
that I grew up with. It's some
Yeah, same here, bro. Same here. Listen, I will be honest with you. Like I go to church, right? I've been gone from church for years. Because I live in the South, and you got people who
favorite
freaking
scripture. Favorite scripture, by the way, If you don't mind
Oh
me.
man, I will say John fifth was it 15, 17? Uh how does it go? I don't call you my servants, I call you my friends. There ain't no greater love than this, that another man will lay down his life to call you my friends, something like that. Anyway, um, nah, but I started going to church, find a community, like whatever. Um, People that keep me accountable, keep me like, you know what I'm saying, I could talk to, so forth and so on. Like most of my friends are away, you know what I mean, whether in Jersey or abroad. I live in Atlanta. So I don't get to talk to them much, and they got families and like whatever. My mom, I have a cousin, you know what I'm saying, that lives here. Um, you know, I get that female, you know what I'm saying, perspective. Because there's always a yin to the yang, you know what I mean. And I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books. I think reading books is very good. I'm reading a book called How to How to Own Your Own Mind. Let me look it up real quick. How to Own Your Own Mind by Orwell, I believe his last name is. Let me look this up.
Yo, that's crazy how you mentioned books because I
Oh,
started
sorry,
reading.
Napoleon Hill.
Okay,
Napoleon Hill.
what is it about?
Napoleon Hill. Yo, it's a fascinating book. I mean, like the first couple of pages, like you're locked in because it's basically like your mind does play tricks on you, right? But he starts off talking about like the creative vision and how the creative person needs to understand his or her mind, right? Like if you're like we talked about this earlier, if we ain't like in the right mindset, like it's hard to create, you know what I mean. And it's a book that just really helps us understand our own emotions and why we think the way we think, and how to conduct that in a real world, like doubt, right? Like you might like they use an example in the book about Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison was obsessed with trying to create the light bulb, and he failed 10,000 times on trying to find the thing. But the mind had an obsession to it on trying to solve this one problem, where many people, they quit after one time, 100 times. Like me, I'm a great painter because I failed 10,000 times. That's why they said if you want to be good at anything, put in your 10,000 hours and you'll be good. The power of persistence, the power of faith, the power of creativity. It talks about in there. You know what I'm saying? Like having like a faith in God really propels people to, to have a creative vision. You know what I'm saying? So you do need that. So yeah, that's what the book is somewhat about.
Yo, this is a great conversation because yo, I'm so sorry. Like you're bringing questions to my brain that's just so off topic, but I have
It's
to
all
ask
good.
you because we're on the subject right now. And shout outs to everybody who's tuning in. The Green Cowboy, Great Space Gentleman. I feel the vibe, real talk. Yo, I appreciate you, man. We just hit the 200 mark watching live. I appreciate you, man. 200 people watching live, man. Y'all mean so much to me, man. Knick fans, man. Y'all is the best. Y'all is the best. But if you're not a Knick fan, if you're watching on a regular, you're the
Hey,
best as well.
Queen.
Appreciate
I
you,
love
Queen.
Stephanie. I love
Queen.
Stephanie.
I love Steph too. I got
Love
Steph coming
Stephanie.
on the show on Monday. I got Steph too, man. I can't wait to talk to
Uh,
him.
ab- ab- Absolutely love Stephanie. That's she had me on a couple of times.
Yo, man, I appreciate Miss Steph, man. That's the OG right there, man.
Yep.
BDP once again. I felt the same way when my mama passed. Just got to take it day by day and keep faith, no matter what. That's very true. That's very true. Vince CP got a cab driver hat on.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah. Hey, it's actually a paper boy, but I'm stylish.
Oh man, shout out to the Green Cowboy. Once again, CP,
What up?
I gotta ask you about reading. Right.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I remember wholeheartedly my father, when I used to get in trouble, he used to force me to not watch no TV, straight
Mm,
books, straight
wow.
books, right? Nothing else. The one book I remember vividly, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
I never read that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
never read it.
Great book, by the way. Great movie, by the way,
Well,
too.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, that's C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, yeah, I saw the movie. But no, but listen, I got a C.S. Lewis book. Actually, it got destroyed um, in my storage, but it's called The Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis. Read that.
Yo,
The
I
Screw
got you.
Tape Letters by, oh my gosh, man. Like, yo, but I'm telling you right now, don't read it at night. Don't read Screw Tape Letters at night because he talking about some stuff up in there, man. I like, bro.
What kind of stuff?
Okay, the Screw Tape Letters is basically letters that demons are writing to themselves on how they are manipulating mankind. And when you start reading it, you're kind of like, God dang, like I'm being manipulated or XYZ is manipulated. And how they write it, man, like there's a head demon, I think it's Satan, like whatever, and then there's like these like and they're writing these letters and you're reading these letters. I'm telling you, Screw Tape Letters, insane.
Yo,
It's an
it's crazy
insane book.
because outside of like those type of books, I also used to read a lot of comic books that my father had. Like my father, my grandfather, who picture I got right here. Um, Shout out to my grandfather, R.I.P. They had a
Rest in
whole
peace.
library, right? And in this library, and that's something that I aspire to have too in my crib, is to have like a big library on the wall, mad books on it, mad comic books. My father used to collect comic books crazy. Like he was a
Mm,
huge Marvel fan, huge DC fan. I always try to make sure I share a new comic book or graphic novel that I get right here. I got Dark Knight's medal right here, so I always try to make sure like I share comic books, even with the merch, right? I know a lot of Nick fans like, yo, where the hell State come with these comic book covers and stuff like that? That's just like a piece of like the art that I love and stuff like that. And that's just from me being a child. But reading specifically has helped me with stress, a lot of
mm,
stress, right?
mm-hmm.
And I lose myself in these graphic novels. Like I found myself like, oh, I'm right next to Batman real quick. Hold on, let me help him with his let me help him throw it.
I hear you saying, yeah.
Nightwing and stuff. But what do you say about reading in general when it comes to like mental health, especially for us men? And what do you suggest a man should read when it comes to like selling merch, art, and those things of that nature?
Um, I loved the Way of the Superior Man by David Dita. It has nothing to do with selling or whatever. I would read that. I would read, oh man, Tim Grover's Winning. Tim Grover's Winning. That Tim Grover was a personal trainer of Kobe and Michael Jordan, and he got a ton of stories, right, with that. Other book I would read would be Purpose Driven Life. I love that book. Um, but he had another one. He had another one. I think it's called Key to Success by Rick Warren. I think that was it too. Oh, 48 Laws of Power. Gotta read that. That's like a must. The Laws of Human Nature Gotta read that. But those two last two books are by Robert Greene. What else? Man, I feel like I'm missing something, but I would start with there.
Yo, in this,
Now, when you now answer your question about merch and everything like that, I
mhm,
think YouTube is a great way to look at things. But also, here's the thing too, right? This is very important. You need at least three inspirations. Okay, so let's say you're into merch selling, but you're not really sure where you want to go. Like, do you want to be like Fubu? Do you want to be like Mark Echo, or do you want to be like, I don't know, whatever black designer there is, or whatever, right? Like, when I had to do a essay on, excuse me, Tommy Hilfiger, because back in the '90s I was a Tommy Hilfiger fan. I used to just wear a Tommy Hilfiger, right? Tommy was my guy. So I was like, when I started researching about him and learning about him, he worked for Jordache, and I was like, "Dang, he worked for Jordache, and he turned this and that." And he one of his inspirations was Ralph Lauren. So he had two inspirations. Ralph Lauren was his inspiration, and also Jordache. And so when you start reading about other people and how they went through life, they went, filed for bankruptcy, and then they had to start a whole business all over again, and so forth and so on. Then you start to find your calling and find your influence. So I say start with people that inspire you.
yo, man, that's great advice. Cause when it comes to like merch, art, and all of these things, like I feel like a lot of those fit under one category, but you have to make sure like you're different from the crowd. I think it's hard to be different because a lot of us, we're trying to make the same thing. I think if we're on the same wavelength, for example, on Nick's Twitter, Villanova Knicks,
Uh-huh.
everybody has a Villanova Knicks variation, right? There's no original thought process when it comes to that. Um, how would you go about that making a product for like Villanova Knicks and not name it Villanova Knicks, like, and not be like everybody else? How would you go about that? What's your thought process going into something like that?
I'm glad you brought that up, because somebody accused me of stealing their quote unquote uh what's his name, Dante DiVincenzo thing. First of all, you can't put Dante DiVincenzo looking like a freaking, like he's going to prom, and call him the Don. Why don't you like use a real graphic designer like I did, and I put him on Don Corleone, right? You see, no ideas are original. You just have to take that idea and make it better. No one owns Villanova Knicks, right? There's people that did do a Jalen Brunson with the crown. They didn't steal from my idea, because this was not an original idea. Idea was a concept. People believe that he's a king in New York. He's the god's son. So I just was like, okay, I did this my way, and people could pick and choose on whatever they like. It's like when you see a when Eddie put Presti, when he puts up those alternative Nick jerseys, right? Some people like them, some people don't, you know, depending on what it is. So when you have like a concept, whatever, I try to stay away from the quote unquote generic. And if I want to do a quote unquote Villanova Knicks, I'm going to take an element from something else and incorporate it to be like, oh, he put a spin on it. Like what if do you remember back in the day when they had the picture of Ewing, Oakley, and John Starks in the black type of photo, or I think they got it from the
Oh, it
The
looked
death
like
row, the death row, the death row, right? Like,
yeah, yeah. I
right,
know what photo you talking
right.
about.
I would probably do it like that. I would probably like do like a death row type of Villanova Knicks with maybe like the V. I'm giving away ideas, man. Somebody gonna use this. You know what I'm saying? With the V in the middle or something like that, or maybe what I mean. You incorporate it. It's about like if you have 100 people that's doing the same idea. Trust me, not every 100 of those people gonna have a good idea. This is where creativity comes along, and you can't just get creativity out of a rock. You gotta like do what you gotta do and be creative.
Yeah, because the other day on Twitter Spaces, somebody got accused of stealing Villanova Knicks
That's
merch
the
idea, and I'm like, how
You
can you?
can't steal that. You can't steal something that's not on a that you didn't create. That's no one created that. Well, maybe I don't know who the first person, whatever. That is a concept. There there's no creative. That's like saying if I create. It's like saying I'm going to put the sun on a T-shirt and I'm going to call it mine. And then somebody else put a sun on. No, you did not create the sun. It's just stupid. You have no ownership of the concept. That's why they say no idea is original. Now, if somebody did Julius Randle, a bunch of arrows in him, all that other stuff, now that would be fine because no one ever thought about that but me. Nobody
Julius.
did. Like, come on, nobody thought about that but me. You know what I mean? I don't get mad when I see people with a Brunson with a crown on it because you know what we've been doing that since Biggie. Like when
Yeah.
when Biggie put on the crown, it's like okay, everybody that was hot at the time, we put a crown on them.
Yo, CP, why do you hate Nick's Twitter? Now,
I hate Nick's Twitter. Oh, I
why
hate Nick's Twitter because there's a lot of insecure a-holes that think that they own Nick's Twitter. That's the thing. It's like when you have somebody that has low self-esteem and give them a little bit of, what I'm saying, clout, you know what I mean? They start owning things, whatever. That's when I don't like Nick's Twitter. Overall, like I love the community, but I'm like I'm gonna stay away from the community because obviously, like they get butt hurt over things I say. And but I will say this though. I will say this. I do have a problem with me putting out something and expecting people are going to take it like how I put it out there. I apologize for that because in turn I realize I do the same. Sometimes people say something to me like whatever in a joking way, and I'll read that like, oh, they're getting at me, whatever, when they were just joking. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes, like, we have to understand that writing is the most terrible form of communication because I could if your girl sent you a text like what you doing, you know what I mean? But it's you could be like, oh yeah, I'm chilling, whatever. Oh, she gonna respond. Oh, how you gonna respond back like that? So forth and so on. Or you just like whatever, then it starts a fight. You know what I'm saying? So uh it is what it is. I mean, they supported me. I've made money off of Nick's Twitter or whatever, but it's the good with the bad, man. You know what I mean? It's the good with the bad. I mean, I'm gonna now focus more on the good in Nick's Twitter, but the bad, I could kick rocks. I could kick rocks.
what's the bad? You know,
I just said it. I just said it. It's people with low self esteem thinking that they're bigger than they are. It's not my fault that my success in my life, what I mean, is a mirror to your failures. I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying. But you get on Twitter and you think that because you get a little notoriety, maybe 50 people are in your spaces, whatever. No, but can you sell the merch? Can you gravitate them to your Instagram and create a quote unquote like following. CP the artist is his own brand. I don't talk about the Knicks. I tried talking about the Knicks. I couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? I sound like an idiot. But those 69,000 followers I got on Instagram and my growing YouTube account, whatever, they're here to hear CP the artist talk and speak and I'm that brand. A lot of people they can't do that outside about talking to Knicks, and they think just because they got a little handful of whatever, they the egos. It's maybe it's sort of like what Nas said about living in your freaking second childhood. You know what I mean? And they got the nerve to like, look, I worked with DJ Premier this year. I mean, my freaking idol, right? He shouted me out on Instagram. I did the album cover for you Don't Stop, which featured um, Rick Ross, Yeezy, and Big Sean, produced by DJ Premier. My life is set. If I could die today, 90% of those people on Nick's Twitter that hate me could never live in my freaking shoes. Never live in my freaking shoes. I freaking did a mural for Summer Walker. I did movies. I had my artwork featured in This Day at Christmas. You know what I'm saying? It was a romantic comedy. You know what I mean? Freaking I did the Joe Buttons logo. You know what I mean? What more can I do? Nobody can live in my freaking shoes that hate me. You better start correct congratulating me. You know what I'm saying? And one day, State, I'm gonna say the same thing to you, man. I'm gonna like, man, that dude State, he listened to all my advice and nobody could touch State. I want to create a monster.
Yo, shout outs to 300, man. Just
Ah,
shout outs
man, I'm glad I
to
got that off my chest.
300. Shout outs to the 300, man. People that say appreciate y'all, man.
I give ratings, baby.
Oh man, got CP the artist in the building. NY Nick 7. Shouts to Omar, man. Shouts to you too, man. BDP cheering you on, man. CP talk that talk. A lot of big egos, yes, a lot of big egos. I felt like I was used, with a certain person that was on Nick's Twitter, and come to find out, I see this person. They got media credentials now, and they over there in the Javits Center, chopping. I'm like, oh, that's why. But I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be like, if MSG come to me and they say, yo, State, yo, we like what you're doing. We want you to be a part of your show.
Hold on. I got a story for you.
Go ahead.
Right?
Mhm.
I got one of my mentor. My mentor is a very famous artist. Okay, and he was on Time magazine. Uh, he was like a father figure to me, right? But once he got on Time magazine, his true colors came out. True colors really came out. Uh, so I remember he was just doing people dirty, and because he was up. And when people are up, they teach you things. So all I'm saying is, you don't be mad at them. Just learn. Like, did if you felt that they used you, okay, fine. Well, I've been used too. I've been used too. I've made people a lot of money through my talent, and haven't gotten a thanks for it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and people are going to say, but you take a learning lesson for it, and say to yourself, you're going to be at the Javits Center. You're going to be, what I'm saying, invited to Nick games. And I mean, I think you're going to have to be a company man. I think you got to like, you got to chill on what you're saying, because I ain't gonna lie. Like, when I'll give you a perfect story, right? So, there was an Atlanta rapper, big Atlanta rapper. Okay, I can't say his name. So I'm talking junk about him on freaking Twitter, like because I don't like Southern rap, whatever. I get a phone call. This dude was like, "Hey yo, this is no. He says, "Yo, I saw your work. I wanted to know if you want to do an album cover for me with this and that. So the third, I'll give you bread." Da, 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 da. I was like, "All right, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah. Who's this?" He said, "It's such and such." And I said, "What? The rapper?" He said, "Yeah, lock me in." And bro, I felt out. Man, I deleted that tweet so freaking quickly, man. I started deleting tweets, man. I was like, oh, because the world is smaller now because of this freaking device. So you have to be careful what you say. And here's another thing too. The Knicks organization, they know about all of us. They know about you. You make the biggest noise, whatever. So how are they going to invite you to the Javits Center or get your connections? Because you can't you can't you got to play the politic games, bro. It's a political game, and you got to play it. I'm learning it. It hurts me because like I'm realizing like, dang, I got to start deleting tweets about X, Y, Z, and so forth and so on. You know,
Yeah, but when do you get away from the political game of the blue
it's never
collar?
it.
It
You
because
don't
you not getting like it, let's be real.
until okay. I'll tell you
Uh-huh.
when you get rid of it.
Mhm.
When you are your own man and no one can cancel you. That's when you could do it. Like Joe Buttons, like he made an art of taking his personality unfiltered or whatever and being able to like make being the biggest podcaster in the world. Like he revolutionized how to be an authentic person. You could be that but also know it comes with a cost. You know what I'm saying? So that's the my only advice to you. You could be the contrarian but know that it comes at a cost. Like
Is it
I know me, it comes at a cost. I had people trying to kill me or like almost all my life. I still got beefs in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? But ain't nobody gonna come for me. Like my neighbors are goons. There's not Crips. There's Bloods like around the corner. My neighbor, two of my neighbors, they went to prison. You know what I'm saying? They're about that. And one of my neighbors, he has a motorcycle gang that kill people. Oh, well, take that back. They don't kill people, but if they could, they would. You know what I'm saying? And I'm cool with all. I'm in the element. You feel me? So my thing is like until you learn how to make it an art. You see what I'm saying? Make it an art, like who you are. Make it into a art. You know what I'm saying? Because I think you have the potential to do that. But you know what? Don't don't ever um put yourself down like, oh, you didn't make it or so forth and so on. When you start seeing people that you started with maybe ain't messing with you no more, or maybe they went ahead or so forth and so on. Don't let that bother you because it was only a matter of time before CP the artist got hot. It was only a matter of freaking time.
nah, you see, yo, shouts to the chat too, man. I appreciate you guys, man. My guy Green Cowboy, you guys are chilling. Shouts to you, bro. You've been rocking with the chat, man, for a minute, man. Appreciate you, my guy Shannon from the Knicks Twitter thread, the famous thread. Appreciate you. Stay keep killing it, my guy Paperman. Yo, shouts to OG and Novi, my guy Paperman, man. Appreciate you. It's Leonardo on Twitter. Leonardo, you know how many goddamn random Abbies I go through every goddamn day? You want to tell me it's Leonardo, goddamn Twitter, Leonardo? You gonna have to goddamn tell me. You gonna have to add me or something. You got to do something. Shouts to Shannon. State they know you for being you. Keep true, being true to yourself. Do the opposite of what CP said. Build your brand because people resonate with your voice. Then it get righteous. Bad advice. It depends on what you deem as bad advice, right?
I'm gonna
Because
ask that person. I'm gonna ask that person this, right?
uh-huh.
Did I succeed being me? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Did I succeed being me? Like, do I got to redo my resume for that person that just freaking thing? I'm the OG here. Okay, work with DJ Premiers, freaking Joe Buttons. Uh, golly, I'm missing out people. Oh, Zaire Williams. Oh, Remy Ma. If you ever see Remy Ma's logo, the Chrome 23, I did that. That mixtape battle with the Chrome 23, I did that. So anybody saying that don't listen to my advice, good luck. Okay, who are you? All right, should anybody listen to your advice? Because state, I'm gonna ask you this, right? I'm gonna tell you this: never listen to people that are less successful than you. Someone called me the other day talking about, oh, you should start painting scenery and all this other stuff. I saw a dude on the beach, and he was just painting. His stuff was trash. He was painting the beach. You should do that for $100. I said $100. You know how much these freaking canvases cost, and the paint and all the stuff I got? It costs us a lot. I'm not in the $100 painting freaking bracket anymore. My stuff costs thousands. I don't move backwards. I move forward. But anyway, that's my rant. But state, don't listen to people and I never said not be yourself. I said, but I did say you got to play some politics sometimes. And if you're gonna be a contrarian, be one like Joe Buttons and how he moves. You know what I'm saying? I think you could be like a Joe Buttons type,
Yeah,
and he's successful.
yeah, he's very successful. It's crazy because I want to be the person. I want to be able to say what I want to say, but don't have to be a company man. Like, shouts to Carl Banks, the New York. He's part of the New York Giants organization. He don't have to retweet or comment on anything I say to him on Twitter. With that said, we're talking about Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones sucks. The same way I feel about Daniel Jones is how Knick fans used to feel about RJ Barrett. A lot of Knick fans, like, why are you continuously going overboard for this guy? But at the same time, he was doing what you was just saying right now, right? He works with the company, right? He's being a company man. He's being political, right? He's understanding, right? I could give you a rebuttal, but I can't go all the way on the deep end because of what I'm a part of.
I'll
What do
give
you?
you the.
Mhm.
Go ahead. Go ahead. What's your question?
No, I was gonna say, like, what do you say to people to that? Because then when you become a company man, I feel like a part of you lose yourself because you always gotta bend your like you always gotta bend back your back over to this company. Like, you always gotta agree with everything in this, that, and the third.
In a company, you don't necessarily think because I think when you position yourself into being a mover and a shaker, they will appreciate your advice because you're a straight shooter. The reason why Donald Trump became president of the United States at 45, not 45 years old, but number 45, is because people believed in his message. People really gravitate to people that are honest, not people that are sugarcoaters or whatever. You have 200 people up in here. This is crazy. I didn't expect that. But you're a freaking machine. But the thing is that every now and then you have to learn how to, okay, um be do the best for it. And as a company man, like whatever, I'm sure there's people up in there that they listen to that are freaking honest. You know what I'm saying? And straightforward and so on and so on. You can't tell me that freaking, there was somebody like saying, oh, yo, you know what? We gotta get rid of Kevin Knox. We gotta get rid of Frank Ntilikina up in the freaking Knicks organization. You can't really say that. I understand what you're saying, but I think as like black people, because I worked in corporate America and I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Um, the whole company man thing, whatever, dog eat dog type of thing. It's not for everybody. Don't get me wrong. I I couldn't play that game either. You know what I'm saying? But you got to find your niche. You got to find out where you're going to go in the culture. You know what I'm saying? If 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 there is a group of Nick fans that feel like they are not supported in their views, then you could be the beacon, just like how Donald Trump was the beacon to poor white folk. Feel me? You know what I'm saying? So, be that. But you got to play the political game. Read 48 Laws of Power, bro. You got to read 48 Laws of Power, man, if you haven't already. Because they
Yo,
talk like this.
yo, my friend Dollars, I was just with him. He's like, yo, you got to read 48 Laws of Power. You're the second person that said that today. The one movie that inspired me to like even like listen to like audios about the 48 Laws of Power was Godfather. Godfather, I literally watched that movie a week after my father passed away. I'm like, yo, I gotta find a movie where it's like something gotta speak to me. It gotta be a movie here. It wasn't paid in full. American Gangster. I'm like, yo, you know what? Let me turn on Godfather. So I turn on Godfather. I'm looking at how Don Corleone moves, but he's also using the 48 Laws of Power. One of the main scenes in Godfather that really stood out to me was the meeting, right? And in the meeting where Don Corleone was trying to call a truce between all of the families, Don Barzini kept yapping out of his gums. And I'm looking like, okay, this got to be the guy who, he got to be the guy that's trying to set up Don Corleone. And then when you go to the 48 Laws of Power, it's a 48 law of power that says never say too much. Never say too much, don't say too much that's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Don't conceal
Yes.
your intentions. Things of that
Yes.
nature.
Don't be more bigger than your master or
Yeah,
something like
don't
that.
outshine the master.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
are some of these things that some of these 48 laws of power that you abide by when it comes to doing merch, selling art, and things of that nature?
Uh, I don't really use that in a sense. I think what I
Or
would
even life
use.
in general, because it could be life in general where you use the 48
Well,
laws of power.
well, I would use what you had just mentioned, right? Like don't be bigger than the quote unquote master or whatever. They used a story about in their Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon. They told the story about Richard Nixon, where Richard Nixon, how he came up, that his goal was to always be president of the United States. And he worked his way up after being rejected by Lyndon Johnson. Like him and Lyndon Johnson had something a falling out or whatever, right? But the thing was that when you're in a business, you have to make the the person that you're working for bigger and have them bring you up. So it's like earlier today, I told you I did a proposal, sent it to a company. Hopefully they approve of it. And it was for me to give to them something that I feel that will help benefit their company. And I'm going to continue to do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So that is a law of power where you have to give something to get something, if that makes sense.
No, that's definitely true. Um, I gotta read that book, man. I gotta read more. I gotta read even more. I think reading helps with everything, yo. Ever since I've been reading, it felt like my mind been at ease at certain times. Um, man, reading, having a hobby, waking up and having something to look forward to on a day-to-day basis. I think that's very important for a lot of people. And shout out to the 360 people that's
It's
in here
crazy.
watching right now, man. I
I-
appreciate
Is that
y'all.
mostly on Twitter or is that on YouTube?
I don't even know. I don't.
Okay.
I don't even care about that. I just care about 365
No, no,
people.
I always look at like the statistics and everything like that. Like where because I know you're streaming on Twitter and YouTube.
Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
yes. I try to touch every social media platform. I wish I could do it on Instagram too, but Instagram
Uh,
they banned me. They banned me from doing lives. I shared something inappropriate a couple months ago.
yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, and they still have a levy. They still have a levy, and when it comes to Instagram, what is the social media platform that you think is on the rise for merch sales currently? That you think more people should use? Because you know it's Printify. Um,
Um,
you got a storefront. It's storefront. It's a lot. It's Printify. It's a storefront.
Printify I use the most. There's something that YouTube has. I don't know how great they are. It starts with an S. I can't even remember it right now. But you got that. I don't know because my thing is always like through Instagram. I would like present a shirt. It wouldn't work because people on my Instagram are not Nick fans. But I had to go to Twitter in order to be able to sell Knicks gear because I'm known in the community. So it it's all what you make it, bro. It's all what you make it. I don't have any answer to that. I can't act like I'm a know-it-all. Can't
You
act like
know,
I'm a know-it-all. I don't have a because yeah, like I would have shirts that would sell on Instagram that doesn't sell on Twitter. I have shirts that would sell on Twitter that doesn't sell on Instagram. And it's because I have two different audiences. I have like my Instagram audience is 60 69%, no, like 66% women, and my Twitter is probably real less than that. You know what I mean? I know my fan base, so
how do you know? How do you know about a target audience when it comes to those social media platforms?
you gotta put your wrist. You gotta put you gotta feel their pulse. You gotta feel their pulse. Like you as a person, you say to yourself, okay, what is my demographic? Okay, is it males 18 through 35? Okay. All right, boom. What do they like in terms of sports and things and topics that they would will be interested, and then you target them. You target them. I had a talk with a friend today, and we were talking about AI and being used by all these social media platforms. Why? Because they're learning our habits. So what you got to do is, if you know your demographic is men 18 to 35, whatever, you got to know their habits. What are they into? What music do they like? Like when you had me on, waiting, and you were playing Benny the Butcher, I'm just vibing like, what I'm saying? Like, okay, Benny the Butcher. So maybe your audience is a Benny the Butcher type of crowd. Like when I learned how to make like like when I do brand work for a company, I research that person's company and I try to learn about their demographic. Like if I was doing a Nicki Minaj logo brand, it's gonna involve pink and loud colors. That's how it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it is. That's part of learning how to target your brand.
Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy because, um, like even listening to you, like it took me a minute to understand like the target audience, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me just put out certain merch on here and then put out certain merch on this other social media website, and maybe I'll need to like split it up. At the same time, I told people yesterday that we was on a Twitter space, and I told them, "Yo, making Knicks merch all the time is boring." Like, I get it. I run it. I run a Knicks podcast. I want to talk about the Knicks all the time. I
And it's
get it.
risky.
I,
And it's risky. You
I
want to know why it's risky?
go ahead.
Because if the Knicks are losing, your sales go down. I know other people that done merch and so on for the Knicks. I have conversations with them, and it's like yeah, when the Knicks lose or whatever, and then like everything stops. I remember I had like a awesome freaking week. Right, it was like we won 50 games. Everything merch was just flying, like ooh, Jalen. This shirt, right? And then all of a sudden it was like then adversity comes. It's like what, we're just gonna wait and see and so forth and so on. So it's risky, but it's like politics, right? If you watch the national debate, okay, or the conventions, and they write out their scripts, and they basically pinpoint, okay, let's make sure that the blacks hear this, let's make sure white people hear this, women hear this, gays and lesbians hear this, and XYZ hear that. It's just targeted. So instead of making merch, target. Here's a book, The Law of Seduction, not The Law of Seduction, The Art of Seduction, right? The Art of Seduction talks about how you are the hunter, and whatever you want, the person that you want is the prey. But you got to learn how the prey moves in order to get the prey. It's like a lion sees a freaking um giraffe and knows that the giraffe has to drink water. He's going to sit and wait. I got a cat, not my cat, but my neighbor's cat is on my lawn, right? I watch this mother sucker stay still, wait for these freaking squirrels to come down and get their little nuts and whatever, and he snatches them up and takes off their head. That's how you gotta do in business. You gotta take off the head. Feel me?
Yeah, business is it's so cutthroat. A lot of billionaires, they had to do a lot of cutthroat things to get to where they need to be. Even a lot of millionaires, they had to sacrifice a lot of things to get to where they need to be. When it comes to sacrifice, is there some things that you had to sacrifice at certain points in order to
Food. I had to sacrifice food, man. I lost so much freaking weight being for this passion of mine, man. Girls, I mean, forget it. Yo, I'd like after my breakup 2 years ago, I was gonna marry this woman, right? I was gonna marry this woman. And then I went nuts after that. Rock out with my cock out, right? This is Atlanta. We were outside. And then I'm just realizing, like, yo, dating is taking away from what I needed to do. Right? It was taken away from what I needed. We got to talk this, and like, I'm Papi Chulo. So at the time, like, I was on Hinge. I was on Hinge, and I would get like 50 freaking matches a week, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm just weeding out the ugly ones and the fat ones or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I was just talk, but it takes time. You got to talk to them, you got to take them out, whatever, and then that's money lost if it doesn't work out, right? So then, boom. Then I just realized I'm looking at my bank account. There's more coming out than coming in, and I'm like, I gotta stop this. So I had to sacrifice dating. I had to sacrifice whatever because my goal is to be a millionaire, and I can't do that by being distracted. See what I'm saying? Or even even Nick's Twitter. Like I gotta freaking do less of that. You know what I mean? I gotta watch less television. There's sacrifices in order to 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 get where you want. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
Discipline. Discipline is so key. Discipline, that's what a lot of people don't have. When you don't have discipline, it's hard for you to get the way you need to be. Shouts to NY Nick 7. As you can see, my brother stayed by CP answer. Work ethic is required, and you're asking the right questions. Appreciate you, Nick 7, for pulling up. But if the merch is good, people are still going to cop. That's true, and it's not true because
Yeah, sure, it's not true.
there's a time where like nobody cops, right? There's a time where people you selling like hotcakes for a week, like people want, and it's usually during the season, like off season. It's really slow. There's no basketball. The casuals, they not really, on these websites. They worrying about their family. They not really
Yep.
going on their
Yep.
phone and actually clicking on your website first. They going on their phone. They going to their social media, and it's called an algorithm, right? And your algorithm, it usually shows all of the things that your phone you usually search and type. So,
Yeah.
so
Well, I will agree to a point. Like if it's good, it's going to sell. And like I told you earlier, like you know, you're not going to hit a home run all the time, but your job is to always do better than the last time. Like I can't keep doing this and keep doing that or whatever because people are going to want more. You see what I'm saying? Now, um, the next time I do, merch, it's gonna have to come from a space that's gonna be better than the last. Maybe, maybe like the Knicks, they might come out with something that kills my design, and people want to go with like the Kith, right? Like the Kith. Like when I saw the Kith stuff, I was like, God dang, that's dope. I don't see anybody buying my stuff. So what I do, I simplified the design. I did I did this, the New York audit in like sort of like a clean sort of a design because I was like, okay, if people are more gravitating to the clean design, then I'm going to go with that. I did the Patrick Ewing Legends thing, and I did the Clyde thing. I did okay with that, you know what I mean? Because I was like, let me dedicate to the Legends first. That meant much, so much to me. Um, that was all right, but also it also we have to also remember this. Um, people like like I was talking earlier about exclusivity, right? When people believe they could always get a certain item for you, they will wait on it. Like they will just wait on it. They'll be like, "Oh, it's there, whatever." You have to put a limited edition on it. You're like, "This will be gone by Thursday." You know what I'm saying? So, and people that want, oh, I'm gonna put my pennies together. I'm gonna, ask mama for $50, and they're gonna put it out there, and then they're gonna go buy it. You got to put exclusivity on there, and also, you got to read the market. You got to read what are people really rocking, and then make it your own. You know?
what is the new art styles that you think will be coming into play within the next couple of years that people need to get on early now? Because there's different kind of art styles, there's painting, drawing, freelance, all these art styles. What do you think is going to be the main art style that a lot of people is going to be using?
Oh man, that's a good question. Uh, I think I can't really answer that question because it's always changing. There's always something there. There is like this muted color, this pastel color movement that's coming, where it's like the skin tones are like in a shade of like a muted tone, and usually it's like a flat background. That's been going on. A more minimalistic style. I think that's what we're going back to, like a Art Deco. this is the thing. The old becomes the new. So what we did back in the past is always going to come back. So if I'm doing merch, I'm going back to the past. I'm going back to the 70s and see how things were fly back then. And then, like you talked earlier about, like your designs have some of the comic book quote unquote influence, right? That comic book probably started back in the 60s, 60s, 50s, and XYZ, right? So if you go back into that time and look at that era of like a Nick type of quote unquote fonts or so forth and so on, you could find that easy on defont.com, right? Find those fonts and try to like maybe simplify the designs or whatever. Go through magazines, go Pinterest. Let me tell you something, man. Pinterest will save you a lot of time because you go up in Pinterest and put up graphic tees or graphic hoodies, and Pinterest will give you a whole uh, list and variety of what is selling and what is hot around the world, and then you take those designs as inspiration and make it your own. A great man once said, "Bad artists copy, good artists steal." That was Picasso.
Wow. Bad artists copy, good
Good
artists
artists
steal.
steal. That's Picasso.
Damn.
And what that means was that you take Prince. This is my favorite person ever, artist in the world. Prince. His influences were James Brown, Jimi Hendrix, and some Mozart. Oh, and Little Richard. Right. That was his four main inspirations. He took all of those and made it into his own style, and that's how we got the legend Prince. He stole elements, but he made it his own. Because anything that is old, you can make it new. Like people, cracking on my hat earlier. This is like Peaky Blinders hat. It's still in fashion. It's still in style. It's a Peaky Blinders hat.
Nah, that's the OG. That's the old school Kango hat, man.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. But it's been around for like 100 years, and it's still fashionable. I don't like you don't have to do much, right? Like I always say that less is always more when it comes to people. Like they don't have to think about it, and that's where human psychology lands. You know what I'm saying? Like when I put together a shirt, I'm thinking, okay, uh, what type of Nick hat could they wear with this? Right? Because that's the first thing I do. I'm like, okay, if somebody's seeing this shirt, the first thing I want them to think, oh, that could go with my navy blue and what's the name hat. They haven't got to think about it. Feel me? So that's how it should work. And always evolve, bro. Like always evolve. Like always look for inspirations, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's out there, bro. It's out there. And that's one thing when we talked about reading, reading opens up the imagination to something else. And that's how like we talked about your dad gave you the C.S. Lewis books. C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were great artists of their time, great writers of the time. They both influenced George R. R. Martin to create Game of Thrones. See what I'm saying?
Yo, that's crazy. It makes sense though, because when I was reading Lion Witch in the Wardrobe, it got an element of Game of Thrones in it.
Well, that story is from the Bible because C.S. Lewis was a Christian.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
didn't, you know.
yeah. That's that like the I forget the thing, but in the Christian community, he's 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 like one of their icons. But yeah, the lion, the witch, and yeah, it's like I think the lion has to represent Jesus, and the witch probably Satan. I don't know, but something like that.
Shout outs to the 448 people
Man, I'm
watching
surprised
live.
people stood that long, but salute to y'all.
Salute to y'all, man. It was a great conversation. Uh, I wanted to really talk about like art and merch and things of that nature. I felt like it's really important. I feel like a lot of Knicks content creators, they're all like doing the same thing. Like I don't want to write about preseason. I don't want to write about
People got
it.
mad at me. People got mad
Mhm.
at me for saying that content creation ain't for everybody. People got mad at me. I
No,
understand
no,
that
that's
probably
the
sound,
truth.
it's the truth because it's hard. It is so taxing. People got mad at me for saying that. But goes again, a hole gonna be a hole, I guess. But um the it it it's hard. It's hard on the freaking psyche. You know what I'm saying? To have that time to create something, and then also you have 20 other people that are doing it also, and you got a real life. I tried talking about the Knicks. I couldn't. I did like 2 episodes, and that was it. I was like, I can't. I was like, oh, I gotta talk about the stats. I don't like numbers. I freaking hate numbers, man. Freaking Alfred Payton was on the team. I was like, nah, I can't take talking
Nah.
about this.
Shouts to Alfred. Oh, I remember those days talking about Alfred Payton, how he sucks every podcast. Ah, long time coming. No, I wanted to, and this was, I guess, the final thing I wanted to talk about with you. Damn, how my fault, CP. I ain't even expect for this to be damn near two
Yeah, it
hours.
was a good conversation. I was gonna go to Zaxby's, and now they closed.
I'm so
I wanted
sorry.
to get a second. Nah, it's all good. We had fun, man. Nah,
Oh
this was
god,
fun, man.
my fault.
When's your birthday?
My birthday is January 25th. Well,
Oh man, we January babies, man.
yeah, man, January 25, man.
Yeah,
Hopefully
10 days
this year.
after mine.
Oh, God bless you. Hopefully we could get to that point, right? We got it.
Well, I'm way older than you, so hopefully you can get to my point. You will get to my point.
Yeah, I will. I will.
uh,
Uh,
I'm 48, man, and you know what I'm saying. I never thought I'd be doing this. I can tell you that much.
what's the biggest lesson you learned? Um,
In terms of what? Because
it,
there's lessons and
just
everything.
I'm talking about in terms of like where you got to today in your life when it comes to like doing the art and doing the merch and doing everything. Like, how does it help you
Um,
stay healthy and things of that nature? And what is the advice for people that's younger?
that
How do
I'm
you
not
stay
defined.
healthy?
I'm not defined by other people's expectations.
Okay.
I'm defined by my expectations, right? Um, and also I've learned that being disciplined as a person is more valued than being good, and that when when you are stagnant, it's God telling you I need to push you to another notch above this mountain because it's a mountain. Like success is a mountain. That's why you should read "Winning" by Tim Grover. And in one of those, in one of his principles in winning, he talks about that winning is unforgiving. Like, okay, you won a championship, go do it again. Winning don't care. We didn't gonna care you won a championship. Go do it again. This has nothing to do with the Knicks, by the way, so people don't get at me. But um, winning always calls more of you. It's like I can't live off of doing a movie anymore that I did in 2001. I can't live off of that. I can't live off of uh, doing covers for one of the greatest hip hop DJs, producers of all time. So to the legend DJ Premier, I can't live off of that. There's another step I gotta go. There's something else that I gotta go, and I haven't achieved that yet. I'm not a millionaire yet. I want to be a millionaire by I'm 50. I got 13 months to do that. you know, so it's like always another step. So
It's
yeah.
never too late to be a millionaire. The one thing I find interesting is a lot of the older successful men in the industry, a lot of them got their big break when they was around their 40s, like Rick Ross, prime example. like, you know,
Um, George R. Martin. He was in his 40s. Robert Greene was in his 40s. Samuel Jackson was in his 40s. Yeah. So yeah, you're right.
so it takes time to get the way you need to be. Uh, you
Uh,
know,
it, it, I mean, if you're focused and you put in your 10,000 hours, then there's anything is possible. But it's going to take hard work, discipline, and you gotta be locked in. You gotta be locked in. Don't let unnecessary beefs, distract you because that could be freaking distracting and draining. And that's what people that want to beef with you want to do. They want you to they want you to focus on them. They want you to take your eyes off the prize so you can focus on them. You know what I'm saying? It's like Jay-Z said in the song Most Kings Get Their Heads Cut Off. Like he said, when you step in the room, people, they look at you like, yo, I gotta take him out. I gotta take him out. All the hate that I got is because people look at me and be like, I want to take him out because I'm a reflection of their failures in life. It is
Woof.
what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. I don't beef with nobody. I got no reason to beef.
Yeah, that's why I stopped going back and forth on Twitter with certain
You
people.
can't. You
Say,
can't. Like there's money to make. It's as Nas said, man. If they still making it, there's chances of getting it. You know what I'm saying?
yes, yes, sir.
It is what it is, man.
Yo, CP, man. I swear to God, I want to ask you about the Knicks, but I feel like I need a break. Well, I feel
Don't
like I
do it.
need a break, man. But I
No, I won't
do
do it.
I do have to ask you one question about the Knicks before we get out of here.
Okay.
This is one question. Um, how do you feel about the culture that the Knicks built and going into this season? Um, what's your expectations for these guys, man? Do you think that we're at the point where everything should culminate together to a championship, or do they need a little more behind them?
I am very excited about this next team and the culture that they put together. Having two dynamic wings and freaking OG Ananobi and Mikael Bridges, getting Julius back, Brunson, having a solid 1-2 punch off the bench with Hart and freaking Dante DiVincenzo. I want to see what this young kid Tyler Taylor, whatever his name is, does what how Deuce is going to be on another level. I think Precious is acclimated. Um, there's going to be a lot of there's going to be less pressure off of Jalen Brunson. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he's going to be able to not carry the team as much as he did last year. We're gonna bring back defense. I'm excited. I mean, I'm thinking 57 regular season wins, but I'm not really you know, concerned about the regular season. I'm really concerned about the playoffs going into there um, healthy. I haven't been this excited since 2012. I'll say that. I haven't been excited since 2012 because I finally believe like we could be top top 5 team in the whole league. I'm comfortable with saying that.
Shout outs to Jalen Iverson, the man that's on your t-shirt right now. Is this the Jalen Iverson? Oh, I actually have the Jalen Iverson jean jacket on right now. Jalen Brunson, man, he's been a good godsend for the New York Knicks. With that said, CP, I'm gonna get you out of here, man. I
I appreciate you.
I took up so much of your time, man. But I really appreciate you for coming on to the show, man, and
Salute
talk.
to the chat.
Yeah. Salute to the chat too. Y'all been great too. And my Nick 7, BDP, man. Appreciate you. Of course, Shannon agrees with CP literally 10 minutes after saying CP. I strongly
Man, don't know what I'm talking about. It's all
disagree.
good, Shannon. Ain't no love lost. I can talk my look. We live. I might make my mistakes, but it is what it is.
Shout out to you, Shannon. What shouts to everybody, man. Shouts to all you Nick fans, man.
And
406
Shannon, I didn't
people.
mean that. I didn't mean that insult. I'm just on one for being dissed all week on freaking Nick's Twitter, man. So what I'm saying. My
Appreciate it.
anger. I gotta learn how to not take my anger out on what I'm saying, people. But it is what it is.
I appreciate that, man. 461 people tuning in. Good stuff, CP.
All right,
Shannon.
my man.
CP, what do you have coming out soon? Do you have any new art coming out soon? Do you have anything coming out on the website? Any new conventions coming out? Also, is you willing to do other streams with other Nick podcasters just in case if they see
Nah, this
this?
is my last stream. You
Oh,
got
it's the last.
exclusive, bro. Nah, you got exclusive. The only one I would probably show up for is Queen. That's it. That's it.
Shouts
You
to
the
Queen.
last one, man. Brew is gone. You know what I'm saying? The morning brew is gone. You know what I mean? That ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? But what I got, I'm just rolling out, you know, proposals, I'm trying to set up for 2025. Trying to get into some art galleries. I just dropped the hoodie version of the Jalen Brunson Godson on my website, cptheartist.com. You can find it there. Because it's getting cold outside, you know what I'm saying? People gonna want hoodies and not t-shirts. So you could rock one of these. It comes in black. It's gonna come in navy blue and also gray. And so it will match with your Knicks gear. Other than that, I'm just trying to live my life out. I got some paintings to do, commissions. That's how I make my money, through commissions. So that's what I'm focused on.
CP, I appreciate you, man. Once again, man, the OGs, in the chat.
Thank you, man. I pray for all the success in the world to you, bro. Because I think you're a good brother at heart, man.
Thank you, man. I'm trying.
And I think you don't. I think you got a lot to offer the world. You know what I'm saying? And I mean that. If I die tomorrow, that's the last thing I want you to know. You got a lot to offer the world, my brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I'm gonna take those words and we gonna roll with it. With that said, Nick fans, non-Nick fans, people who's listening, SNYK podcast. I really appreciate y'all for tuning in today. I CP the artist, and today now I'm getting out of here. Make sure once again y'all look out for this podcast. I will have it in audio form before in the morning by 5 a.m. So make sure y'all tune into the audio form of this podcast version. Will be streamed on at least 9 streaming services, especially Spotify, Apple Podcasts. CP, once again, I told you thank you about 5-8 times, but
No,
thank you.
thank you, man. This was fun, man.
Appreciate that, man. And all you merchants and all you merch guys, you art guys, you Knicks Twitter guys who want to start a podcast, I hope you learned a lot today because I definitely did too. With that said, I'm out of here. Your boy State of the New York Knicks podcast. Peace and blessings.